Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. It's your old man Mark Bryce. Today's video, all I'm really gonna do is just talk. Right now I'm in East Stroudsburg. I'm gonna head out to Poconos in the Pennsylvania area, and it's gonna be about a 25-minute drive. So for the next 25 minutes I just want to talk. Mainly I want to talk about is cars. Let's talk about my very first car. Now before I get started, if any of you can please in the comment write down your very first car, why you got that car, when you got that car. There we go. So it was in 2002 when I got my very first car. At that time I was working at my very first job. I've been in that company for 2 years at that time. I was a part-timer. I was going to school full-time, but I crammed all my classes in 3 days. So you can just imagine how my schedule was like. I would cram all my classes Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays because I worked part-time Thursdays and Fridays, and every once in a while if they needed me, they'd call me on Saturday, Sunday. I won't be too specific on my job because that's going to be in another video, but I want to talk about the car, my very first car, and why we got it. So it was in August of 2002. I was with the company already for 2 years. I was making part-time money. I did this because I wanted to graduate on time, so I crammed all my classes so I can graduate within 4 years. At that time I was living with my mother. In 2002, yes, my mom had received this letter in the mail that you can buy a vehicle for very little down payment. And at that time my mom did not know how to drive, but I did. I had my license, but we didn't have a car. I mean, at that time all my friends, they had licenses. They were driving their their parents' cars, and my mom was in need of a car. She needed a chauffeur, in other words, she needed someone to take her to the market. She needed someone to take her to work, this and that. And because I was living with my mom, I was working, so I told my mom, let's go ahead and let's check out the cars and see what they have. So we went to this place called Barron Auto Mall. It's in Brooklyn, New York, and we were just looking at the cars. They were trying to sell us some ugly cars. At that time, I wasn't really, not that I wasn't into cars, I just didn't know much of cars. The only vehicle that I knew of was the Mazda Protege, the Mazda Protege 5. It was the hatchback. That was the only vehicle that I do recall seeing on commercials. It looked good back then. Thank God I didn't get that car though. So I told them if they had any Proteges, and they said no. They tried to sell me some ugly Mirage, some Mitsubishi Mirage. I wasn't into that. And then I saw the silver vehicle. It was on the floor. It was very clean. It had 15-inch alloy wheels. I mean, back then, 18-inch, anything over 18-inch rims were wow, you were cool. So the silver vehicle, I didn't know what vehicle it was. The wheels seemed aftermarket, but they looked good. It didn't seem like it had it. The reason why I knew those wheels, those rims did not match the car is because it didn't have the hubcap that said the brand on it. So before I say the brand, I was just looking at the vehicle. The man opened the door for me and said, just take a look around. I asked my mom, do you like this vehicle? She was happy with it because it was a 4-door. So what we were gonna do is my mom was gonna put the down payment. It was gonna be under her name because, again, I didn't have any line of credit. So everything was going to be registered under her name, but I was going to be the one paying for it. So we were both in agreement on what we wanted, and she definitely wanted a 4-door. I wanted a 2-door, but again, it was going to be a family car. At that time, my younger sister was about, I want to say she was 7, 6. So, you know, I had to keep in mind there were going to be people in the back seat. So my mother didn't want no coupe, and, you know, I wanted a coupe, but that's just me being, you know, thinking on myself. So we went ahead and proceeded with the 4-door car. So the silver car, the man told me it was a Kia Optima. It was a 2001, so it was already a year old. We're in August of 2002. It was around mid-August. So the man said that it came with like some aftermarket subwoofers. Again, I really didn't care about any aftermarket stuff. To be honest with you, I didn't even know what aftermarket was. The terminology aftermarket. So I told him, okay, cool. He says, and these are aftermarket wheels. These are 15-inch. I want to say they were 15. They could have been 16-inch. I think they were 16-inch. I have some photos of my vehicle when they were stock. Hopefully I can find them so I can put it in this video so you can see it on the image. I want to say it was a 16-inch. But either way, he was just showing me all the bells and whistles this car had. Told me it was a Kia Optima 2001. It was an LX version. I didn't care. He was just rambling. I said, cool, I want it. It looks nice. So we ended up paying about, I want to say the vehicle came out to, the number that comes to mind, $14,000 or $15,000. I can't remember. Again, my mom had the payments. I just remember giving her money and she would pay for it. I remember paying about $300 for that vehicle, or $290, something along the line rings a bell. I can't remember how much I was paying car insurance for that car. That I cannot remember. I remember paying car insurance, I just don't remember how much. I would just remember the car note. Love that car. Again, it was my very first car. I remember it was a closet. It was my bedroom in wheels. Anyone that can remember your very first car, you'll always remember that that vehicle is your bedroom. It's your privacy. You can drive anywhere you want, park it wherever you want. You could be with a shorty, and you had your privacy. It was your closet, you know? I remember the very first 3 days of that vehicle. Again, I didn't have a garage. I lived in Queens, so you had to park your car in the streets. And I remember my very first day, I scratched the back bumper parking that car. I was novice when it came to parking it, parallel parking. I wasn't good. I did my best, but I remember I would nick it. And I remember my very first nick, it hurt. And it was not even 24 hours of owning that vehicle. Again, it was my very first car. I should have got a hoopty, you know, scratch that up so then you know how to park, you know how to make turns and whatever. So I scratched up my very first 10 hours of having that car. Not even, it was like 5 hours. We walked out of there like around 4 in the afternoon, and then around 10 o'clock. So in 6 hours, I already scratched the car. I wish that was the only scratch I had, because then 2 days later, I remember the girl I was dating at that time, she was on vacation, and she was coming back from her vacation from her homeland in Spain, and I was gonna go pick her up. So I picked her up, and we were gonna go out, take her out that day when she came back. And I remember taking her into this place called The Strip. It's in Astoria Park in Queens, New York. And everyone that had a car back then, you can't park there anymore, which sucks. But back then, you were able to park your car at The Strip. It was right under the Triborough Bridge. And people will park it because it was right now facing the East River. It had a good view. You could see the city. At night, people would get out of their cars and just hang out by the Strip. People will walk around. People who are into cars, hooking up their cars, would go there. People would just show off their vehicles. You know, you would just walk around there and take a look at other people's car. I remember taking her there, and I remember parallel parking, and I was trying to show off by parking it really fast, and I ended up scratching and removing the car in front of me, their back bumper. My front bumper nicked the rear bumper of this Honda Civic hatchback, and I clipped it, and when I clipped it, it dropped to the floor. And I remember hearing, what the and it was some young kid. I was 19, 20. This dude was probably 16, 17 years old. Short dude with his girl, and I know he was pissed. And I told him, yo, my bad, I'm so sorry. It's like, I just got this car a couple of days ago, I'm still learning, my bad, tell me how much does it cost. He told me it was gonna cost about $250. I told him, I'll give you the money, let's just not call it car insurance. So my girl, I'm over here, was trying to show off, take her to the strip. Now I'm in the car with her, and the guy behind me with his girl, with his back bumper in the back seat of his hatchback, following me because I had to go to the nearest ATM to take out $250. My rear bumper, I think it was damaged, but at that moment I didn't really know. I was just more concerned that I hurt somebody's car. So I went to the ATM, got the $250, gave it to him, we squashed it. No insurance company, because again, I was scared. I didn't want to call any car insurance. I was nervous, they didn't know what I had to do. So I gave him $250. At that time, I didn't have much bills. The only bill I had was that car, but I didn't even have my card note yet. So I had money in my pocket, I had money in the ATM. The only payment I had was my cell phone bill at that time. So I was good. I gave him $250, we squashed it, he left. I took her back to the strip, we spoke, but it was just, you know, it sucked because now this is my second scratch on the vehicle. It was more than a scratch. And I had to take care of it. So that was my very first problem with the vehicle, owning my very first car. Owning that vehicle for 2-3 years, I scratched it up in the garage. I rented a garage space in the building that I lived in, so I can leave it there. And I remember I scratched the hell out of that vehicle so many times. People hit me, I hit them. But I remember one of my very first projects on that Kia Optima. I got it tinted, but it was mirror tinted. Oh, I love that. Mirror tints only looks good in silver cars. It doesn't look good in any other car color. Only in silver cars, because the mirror matched the paint, and it looked awesome. Then I went ahead and I got 18-inch rims on that vehicle. I got that from wheelmax.com. I believe that was one of my very first purchases I made online. I used a credit card. I think it was my very first. I think I opened up a credit card account just for those wheels. I had a credit card account up to $1,000. It was under my name, but my mom was like a co-parent onto that credit card company, so I had a $1,000 limit. The wheels cost me about $880, and I remember putting it on. I didn't even get a wheel alignment because I didn't even know what the hell a wheel alignment was at that time. I remember that car squeaking. I would get pads and it wasn't the pads. I thought it was the rotors. I got new rotors. I didn't know what was going on with that vehicle. But I remember the transmission was done, and I only had it for 3 years. And then I went ahead and put some lights on that vehicle. And when I mean lights, I mean interior green lights. And I'm not talking about the lights that you see in Fast and Furious where it's under the car. No, I thought those lights were cool, but it only looked cool in cars that people really hooked up, that dropped it. Nice wheels, body kit. And if you didn't have a body kit and your car wasn't dropped, it just didn't look good. So I never got it. But I did get LEDs for the interior, under the door dash, under the seats. But it was such a crappy job that I made because all the wires were sticking out. The wires weren't hiding. It looked doofy looking. The buttons that switched it were huge. It looked bulky. It looked ugly. Picture, you know how people who have those hydraulics on their vehicle, who have those button switches and they're huge? That's what I had, but they were just for LED lights. I'm talking about back in 2002, 2003. It wasn't until 2005 when I sold the car. That's gonna be for another video, everyone. I'm gonna tell you my second car, and it was total opposite of what I had, the Kia Optima. It was a luxury car, but before I talk about that luxury car in my next video, I just want to talk about my Kia Optima, because when I went to this place called Five Towns in New York, I think it was in Long Island, I'm not sure exactly where it was, but I remember it was one of the very first times where I had to go to Hotmail or Google, just to, I don't even think it was Google, it was MapQuest. I had to print out exactly where this Five Towns Auto Mall was, and I found my vehicle, my second car. But before I discuss that in another video, I want to tell you how such a small world this is. So I traded in the Kia Optima for my second car. When I traded in my car, mind you, that car was already done to shits. That car was bad. That car, I treated it, I abused it. Transmission was done. It would vibrate. It was bad. I didn't like it. Every once in a while, the car would just start vibrating. Bad. And you would hear it. You can see it. You can feel it. I didn't say that obviously to the guys at the dealership when I traded in the vehicle. They just looked at it. They gave me a price, how much they were going to give it to me for, and I accepted it. Now, months later, I'm driving with my new car, my hometown, Astoria, Queens. I end up seeing my very first car. And I honked at the person, and he looks at me, and I'm like, who the hell is this, right? So he just drove away. I'm like, oh man, that's my car. And I knew that was my car because of the stuff that I'd done. He still had the same rims. I shaved the back so it didn't say Kia Optima. I shaved all the letterings. I had xenon HID lights or xenon lights or something like that. So I knew that was my vehicle from all the stuff that I'd done, the mirror tints. He just drove away, didn't know who I am. And it wasn't until I went to Pet Boys and I saw that car at the parking lot. My very first car, he was there. So I waited for that person to start walking towards the car. And then I came out of my car nonchalant, just like pretending like I'm coming out of my car. And I'm like, yo, is that a Kia Optima? He goes, yeah. I told him, yo, small world, that's my car. I've owned that exact car. I've done all this stuff to this car. And instead of him being shocked, like, wow, small world, you've done all that stuff, he was more upset at me because, like, you're the reason why this car broke down. You're the reason why I had to get a tow truck 3 times owning this car. This car, man, it's done. It's ruined. The guys at 5 times where I bought it, they sold me a lemon. And at that time, lemon was very popular and it was new to me. So I understood what he meant. And I told him, well, I don't know what to tell you because when I had the car, it was working fine to me. Ah, man. And when I saw that man's face, I don't know how much he bought that car for, but I knew he was pissed. All right, everyone. I think I'm going to be done here because my hand hurts. I'm holding my camera with my right hand. I will say this. My wife, when I met her, the very first time I met her, I had my first car. She was there when I owned my first car. She was there when I owned my second car. She was there when I had no car, which will be in other videos that I will be talking about that. This is, I believe, my very first car talk. I'm not showing you guys any projects, how to do this, how to do that, how to sell this to make money, how I make money, what to buy, what to sell. No. How to fix, repair at your house, maintenance. No. This has been just strictly a car talk on my very first car. I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys like this video because there will be more. I will be talking about my second car. All right, everyone. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.